Today I'm going to show you how to make a tassel for the Book of Shadows, much like this one. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing, this is the ring that I put on there to use for my tassel. And the first thing I want to do is determine about how long I want it. So I want it to hang a little past this halfway point, about there. So I have collected a few different items to use to make the tassel. I have this big bundle of sari silk ribbons. They're all sewn together end to end. And I ordered this off Etsy years ago. And there's a bunch of different colors. So I have cut a few off of here that I think match this color scheme good. I think this one matches pretty nicely. And I got this olive green one, which also has a few like gold and orangey details on it. And then I got this more bright one that I thought kind of matched the top of that mushroom. Then I also have this case. It's one of those bead case things, and it has a bunch of samples of different threads and fibers. And I bought this off of someone many years ago, and I've used a bunch of them and put new ones in there since then and taken stuff out. So I chose a few of those that I think will go. I think this kind of coppery one matches, again, this kind of red one and this green one. So that's kind of the color scheme I'm going for. And then I've also got this little bucket with a bunch of different things, beads and charms, all different kinds of stuff, other ribbons as well. So the first thing you're going to want to know is how you want to attach the tassel. Do you want to have the tassel directly attached to this ring? Or do you want to be able to clip it on and off the ring? So if you want to clip it on and off, you can use, these don't match in color, but you can use something like a ring and a jump ring and one of these little lobster clasps. And then you could, attach the lobster clasp to the ring and then attach the tassel to that and then clip it on there. Because the ring is already really big, the tassel is going to fit on there nicely. So I think I'm going to try to make the tassel directly on the ring. And I don't want, adding something like this will add extra length to the tassel as well, which I don't want to do, because it's already, the ring is so big that if I add more down here, then the tassel is going to end up either being really short or like the tassel itself will be short, or it'll end up being what I consider the correct length for my tassel, but it would end up being really long on the book itself. And sorry if y'all can see any cat fur, that's just what happens when you live in a house full of cats. So I've got a couple jewelry making tools. This is just a needle nose plier. They're like round, or that's round nose, sorry, these are needle nose. They're just like small. So, then I've got scissors and I've got some different beads and stuff. So a few things I've picked out to use is, this is like a druzy amethyst agate bead that I thought was really pretty. I've got this skull bead that I got these things at Michael's. I've got this Buddha head bead that's like coppery. So all of my metals on here are more of a bronze color, but the stuff I'm going to be putting on the charm is going to be multiple different colors just because that's what they came in, what colors they came in. I've got these two charms I might use, kind of a Celtic knot and a key. The Celtic knot one came in this packaging from Michael's. I don't remember where the key came from. I've got some different copper beads I might use. Some African turquoise. I thought the green would be pretty with that. Sorry about the glare of the bag. This is snowflake obsidian beads. I've got these copper kind of seed beads, large seed beads. These are some bronzy like spacers that you would put in between different beads. And I've got these little things to put the beads on to make the charm. So, alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is work on the ribbonish aspect of it. So I'm going to decide kind of how long I want the tassel. So I want it to be about like that long. So that means I would need to do that and double it over. So I'm going to cut it to that length, just a little bit past where I marked right there. Just so that in the end, if things don't line up properly, I can cut them again and make them line up better. So then I'm going to kind of match up the ends, cut them. The ribbon, I've also got ribbons like this from Michaels. There's this one. This might be from Michaels. I don't think it is, but this one's got like the little loops on the ends. A black sheer and a bright purple. Now I really like these trims because, if you can find the end, they're really fun. They add a lot of texture that's different to the book tassel. So this one's kind of like this. It's got a little bit of silvery glitter in there, if you can see that. And this one's kind of the same thing, but it's got that coppery color that the kind of is in the leaves and the snail on the front of the book that I liked. And I used that same kind of color thread to bind the book, so I thought that'd be pretty to use. So this is similar, it's just not quite as much tasseling as that other one. I'm going to seal the ends of all the ribbons so they're not fraying like this. So if you don't know how to do that, let's start with this one because it's easier. You take a lighter, literally just barely touch it to it. And it'll kind of melt the end and seal it. So how I make the actual tassel is I start kind of layering the ribbons. Actually, I'm going to start with the green one because it's the thickest. If you wanted to, you could iron these, but I like them kind of like they are, kind of wrinkly. And then you just kind of find the center and lay it over your finger. And then you decide, okay, what do you want next on top of that? And you do the same thing, just kind of find the center and lay it over it. Okay, so there it kind of is. So I'm going to go ahead and thread this through the loop, kind of keeping what I want on top, or trying to anyway. Yeah, there we go. I went ahead and added this extra kind of different multicolored green one because I felt like it needed more green. So from here, I'm going to work on making some of the beading elements. Okay, so I took one of these head pins, which is just something used in beading. It's got a little head on the end of the pin, sort of like a nail. And I threaded a copper seed bead, this pretty amethyst, and then another copper. Then I'm going to leave enough space above that. This is kind of hard to show. Hang on, let me grab it with this. About like that, to leave a loop. And then I'm going to cut that end piece off. And we can discard that end piece. Then I'm going to take these round nose pliers, grab it, not at the very, very end, but near the end. And you just kind of twist and roll to get a loop. Then you can use your other ones to kind of squish it into place so that you've got a good looking loop. And you can kind of mess with it and stuff to make it look better. Okay, so that's what it looks like now with a little loop on the top. And I'm just going to do that same type thing for my little skull bead. So I have made these three out of the skull, amethyst, and African turquoise. And then I put these two onto this one. So I've got the Buddha head and the snowflake obsidian on this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and thread this piece through the loop like I did the others. And get it like that so that this piece falls at the bottom and that piece falls more like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to thread this onto this piece of ribbon. So I'm going to kind of bunch up the end if I can, so I can get it through that little loop I made. If I can't do it on this piece, I'll have to try to do it on a different piece. Got these tweezers that'll help. Yeah, there we go. That way I'm able to tie it more so that it's up near the top. And I'm just going to tie it on there. do a double knot. Now where do I want the skull? I think I'll put the skull on the purple ribbon. Do the same type thing, kind of get the ends. And if I can just kind of poke it through that loop, I can grab it with these tweezers. Easier than my fingers, and try to kind of wiggle it through. It's a little thick to fit through that tiny loop, but I'm gonna make it work. My last one, the African turquoise, is gonna go on this one near the bottom. So now this is the waxed thread that came in the bookbinding kit from Amazon, and it is the same one I used to sew in the signatures. So I'm going to cut off a good length, you know, a foot or so. And then I'm going to situate the tassel how I want it. I want it to fall, not really bothering too much with how the ends are, except to know that they're not going to be too long where I cut off a bead. Just kind of making them even. Then I'm going to kind of group it together, and I'm going to take this and wrap it around near the top like you would with a tassel. So I'm going to wrap it around a couple times, and then I'm going to tie a knot in the back. It's kind of hard to do this with just two hands, but do the best I can. Make it real tight. Okay. Then pull all the ribbons, make sure they're nice and kind of taut up there. Then I'm just going to wrap this around, this thread around the tassel several more times, making sure it's real tight. Just as many times as I think till it looks right. Then I find that end piece I originally had and tie another knot in the back. Then when you're done, you can either leave that to be part of the tassel, or I'm going to cut it off. So there's what the tassel looks like so far. Now it is not very even on the bottom, which maybe you like that, maybe you don't. I'm going to hold it out and trim it a little bit, so that it is more even, being careful not to cut off that bead right there. And some of them are shorter, like this purple one is shorter up here. That's okay. Maybe I can pull it down a little bit. And you can just kind of fiddle with it until you're happy. Okay, so here's how it came out. You can see the Buddha head kind of peeking out right there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, hit the like video, and leave a comment down below. And stay tuned for my next video. Bye!